שבתי בבית אדוני, שבתי כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו, לחזות בנועם אדוני, to gaze upon the beauty of out of the ruins and the rubble, out of the smoke, out of our night of struggle, we can see a ray of hope, one pale thin ray reaching for the day. We can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city for all. We may not reach the ending, but we can start slowly but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart. Now, maybe now, we start learning how we can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city for all.
1, 2, 3. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home. When I come home. Oh God, forgive my mind. There's a road that's long and winding, it hollers home. I'm calling home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home. When I come home. Oh God, forgive my mind. Oh God, forgive my mind when I come home to Erev Shabbat. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Though your feet may take you far from me, I know. Wherever is your heart, I call home. Wherever is your heart, I call אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש, אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש.
שבתי בבית אדוני, שבתי כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני,
בנועם אדוני,
ולבקר
בהיכלו,
לחזות בנועם אדוני, to gaze upon the beauty of out of the ruins and the rubble, out of the smoke, out of our night of struggle, we can see a ray of hope, one pale thin ray reaching for the day. We can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city for all. We may not reach the ending, but we can start slowly but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart. Now
Life's right. My trick is just look at the red lights and nothing about the lights. Don't talk. I think it's a great idea. What do you think I could do? Do you think if I invited him over, do you think? If I said, hey Jack, I've got a great idea. Why don't you stand here and sing? Do you think he'd catch on? No? Yes. Shabbat shalom. How are we feeling?
I got really Oh, I see it in my mom. But, that's right. Let's do that talk.
Hine
good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei ma tov manayim shebedachim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov manayim shebedachim gam yachad. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And so grateful that we can be together this evening to bring in Shabbat. My name is Ben Spratt, honored to be leading with Cantor Shana Delo, with Rabbi Julie Carroll. We are so grateful that we have Jay David, that we have Shane, and we have Corey with us tonight. Very grateful that we have Val and Roberta helping to greet everyone as they enter the space. And to those of you tuning in from afar, grateful that Ford is helping to make that possible. We find ourselves this Shabbat at Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of memory. And this is the Shabbat that leads right into Purim. If you need a real refresher of Purim, this is the one where we eat the little triangle-shaped cookies and we dress up in crazy ways and we boo at a certain guy's name named Haman. You can practice if you want. And it's very interesting because we go into the most ridiculous, bizarre of holidays in some ways, and yet we have a Shabbat that is centered in severity, a remembrance of past pain and atrocity as a lead-in to the challenge and perhaps awe that can come out of the story of Esther. How we can imagine how one person, in the particular moment when it is most needed, is able to bring forward the essence of their own identity, and that is enough to change the fate of everyone. And for any of us who are this Shabbat sitting in the remembrance of those difficult moments personally and collectively, the story of Purim is meant to galvanize us, to help us remind ourselves that often the world turns not in the grand machinations, but sometimes in the small moments that truly matter. The moments when we feel called to lift our voice. The moments when we feel that some essential spark of ourselves is necessary and needed. And for all of us this Shabbat, the idea is that we remember that past to feel activated to go into this week, where we make a mockery of evil, where we dress up as the heroines and heroes of the world, in the hopes that we may find the right moment, that perhaps it was for this moment and this time that we were called to finally step forward and to say, I am here. We're grateful this Shabbat to have the amazing voices of our children's choir helping to enhance and inspire your voices, so hopefully you can be at least as loud back to them as they will be in their dazzling array. And we are grateful to have two rising B'nai Mitzvah that will be ascending this bima tomorrow. And it is an honor to bring forward Olivia Burnett and Lucas Sachs to kindle lights of Shabbat as we move into what we know will be a weekend of leadership. So just yesterday, I returned back from being in Israel with a delegation from our congregation, and some of these intrepid travelers are actually here in the sanctuary and very grateful. I hope you got a few hours of sleep. Some are still in Israel. And later in the service, I'll have a chance to share some of the experiences we had, but particularly at a moment where we feel the connectedness of community here, a wonderful opportunity to feel the threads of peoplehood that weave us all around the world as we enter this Shabbat. We begin our service, page 20, L'Chadodi.
The children's choir is going to stand, and we are also grateful for Lucy Crystal for being our co-conductor and leader of children's choir. Thank you so much, Lucy. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shimo tiferet v'litila. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Leirosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'makshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Ki ba'orech u'miori, Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
We invite the community to please rise as you are able and turn to welcome in Shabbat.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing as able, turning to page 28 for the Barchu.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai Baruch hu et Adonai
Children's Choir will lead us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
As we turn now to our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, we acknowledge that this is a song that is about harnessing the gratitude for those moments in which the Jewish people were spared from some kind of threat. And so even though the image of this song always evokes the Song of the Sea, that moment of the Exodus from Egypt, we can layer onto this song other stories of redemption that we hold close. And so as we celebrate and honor Shabbat Zachor, I invite us as we say the word Moshe to also hold the names of Esther and Mordechai and Vashti and all of the key characters that made the redemptive story of Purim possible. We turn to page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, וכהים לפני משה מרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, זה לי את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We turn to Hashkivenu, our Erev Shabbat lullaby, led by our children's choir on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, 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 one day. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
As we turn now and prepare to recite our prayers for healing, we think about the mitzvot of Purim. The Purim mitzvot demand us to tell our story, to read the Megillah, to break bread together, to have a festive meal, to center the needs of those in our community who are vulnerable with matanot le'evionim, and then also to give gifts and to share our bounty with those we love, with whom we're in relationship. And in a beautiful way, those mitzvot very, very easily map on to the whole purpose of the Misha Berach prayer. The Misha Berach is about reminding ourselves that we are surrounded by people who have stories of struggle, and making sure that we allow ourselves to create space for that struggle in our lives, that we don't hide from it, that we confront it, and then we offer them companionship on their journey. It's about making sure they have what they need and making sure that we find ways to connect with them as they walk this journey. And so, in a beautiful way, the muscles that we're trying to strengthen through the observance of this holiday are also the very same muscles that we want to attune ourselves and strengthen to be able to walk with support and with empathy alongside all of those we know, maybe including ourselves, who are navigating challenges of mind, body, and spirit. We're thinking this week of Ellen Kirshner, Tracy Lustig, Cassie Lustig, Patricia Horn, Stephen Schwinder, Mark Miller, Debbie Plotz-Pierce, Judy Garber, Elaine Herrick, Stanley Reifer, Ricky Dessen, Francine Lahat, Ari Ginor, Lenny Shields, Elizabeth Wright, Alexander Lola, Moshe Avraham ben Miriam Vashmuel, Julie Dictero, Edward Lewitt, Ken Zuckerman, Rosalind Epstein, Griffin Myers, Sharon Rollins, Eileen Menace, Jessica Newman, Sue Moldovan, Lilu Oppenheim, Maxine Maxine Borowitz, Alex Yakino, Sandra Carver, Pam Elias, Patrick Greenewalt. Are there additional loved ones you're praying for this Shabbat? We continue with Misha Barak, our prayer for healing, the middle of page 253. We add to our prayers for healing, our prayers for the captives, our siblings, Achenu. Please rise as you are able.
Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Hanetunim b'tzara, b'tzara uvashivia. Haomdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Achenu, kol beit Yisrael. Hanetunim b'tzara, b'tzara uvashivia. Haomdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Hamakom yirachem, yirachem aleihem, v'yotziei mitzara, lirvacha, u'mi'afela liora, u'mishiva
We remain standing as able, turning now to our Amidah prayers, beginning on page 46, asking God to help us craft our prayer.
That my mouth may declare your praise. Yalalai, 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 yalalai. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagidi latecha. That my mouth may declare your praise. Yalalai, 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 yalalai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Yaakov, V'Zocher Chastei Avot ve'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei v'Neim, L'man Shemo be'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Akol atah, Rav le'Oshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, U'midomei lach, Melech mehemit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh Shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yalalu chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We remain standing as able, turning now to the words of the prayer for Israel from the prayer book, the Siddur of our Israeli Reform siblings, uniting ourselves ever closer in liturgy and in spirit. Please join me. Rock and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, the dawning of our redemption. Shield it with your compassion and spread over it the shelter of your peace. May a spark of your spirit inspire the actions of its elected leaders and officials, judges and advisors, that they may follow the path of justice, liberty, and righteousness. Strengthen the spirit and the hands of those who build and protect our holy land and grant salvation and life. Bring peace to this land and everlasting joy to its inhabitants. Be with the people of Israel wherever they are. Plant within their hearts the love of Zion, and may those of our people who are so inspired come to Jerusalem, your city which bears your name. Spread your spirit over all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot hatred and animosity, jealousy and evil. Plant in our hearts love and kinship, peace and friendship. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. We turn to Shalom Rav, led by our choir on page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech hador, lecha Shalom, ki ata hu melech hador, lecha shalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
We invite you into personal reflection.
מי יודע כל כאב, מי רופא לי שבורי לב, יוצר אור וחושך, עושה שלום ומלחמה. מי יושב על כיסא דין, מתכסה ברחמים, מוחל וסולח, מביט ויודע, ומי ירפא ליבי
רק תגיד לי מי יחבק אותי ויביט שלא אני אקנא בסוף. מי היה הווה ויהיה, מי ממית ומחיה, פותח ידיים, מצמיח כנפיים, ומי ירפא ליבי, מי אני מתגעגע כמו ים שאין לו חוף, רק תגיד לי מי יחבק אותי ויבטיח שאני לא אקנא בסוף, שאני לא אקנא בסוף. ירפא ליבי, אל מי אני מתגעגע כמו ים שאין לו חוף, רק תגיד לי מי יחבק אותי ויבטיח שאני לא אקנא בסוף, שאני לא אקנא בסוף.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shvurei Lev, broken hearts. Tonight we begin Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of memory. And what is it that we are remembering tonight? We are remembering one of the most difficult and controversial commands in all of Jewish tradition. On this Shabbat, tomorrow morning, in synagogues around the world, we will read a special passage from Deuteronomy concerning Amalek, the arch enemy of the Israelites. We are commanded in these verses to remember how Amalek attacked the most vulnerable of our people on our journey out of Egypt. And as a result, we are commanded to eradicate all the descendants of Amalek and to blot out their memory from under heaven. No qualifications, no limitations. On this Shabbat of memory, our tradition reminds us of the command to destroy those who seek our destruction. We read this special portion because Haman, the villain of the Purim story, is a descendant of Amalek. On Purim, we symbolically costume this mythic foe and we eat hamantashen, the cookies shaped like Haman's three-cornered hat, or more accurately in the Hebrew, Oznei Haman. We actually eat the ears of Haman. As we boo and we, thank you, hiss the mythic villain of the story, we also face the end of this tale and its brutality. For after the execution of Haman and his sons, the Jews of Shushan rise up and kill the 75,000 Persian supporters of Haman. Thank you. Getting ready. Eating our enemies, obliterating their supporters, blotting out their memories. For most of us, we could not think of a more distant expression of our sacred tradition. For all of us who prefer to exist in a sense of humanity absolved of shadow, Purim invites us into a masquerade in which we see the darkest sides of the human heart. But only those ignorant of our tradition would see the verses of Shabbat Zachor or the end of Megillah as indicative of our Jewish ideals. The calls for vengeance, though understandable, ignore the Talmudic aversion to the story, and in fact the rabbis desire to not include it in our sacred canon at all. The notion of seeing Amalek's destruction omits the Torah's context for this command. Led into it, we are to bring fairness to our dealings, to how we hold the memories of our relatives, to the sense of justice in our own communities, seemingly because of what Amalek did to us long ago. We aspire to communities of justice rather than vengeance as a result of our remembrance, according to our Torah. As Maimonides points out, the point of remembering Amalek is specifically to not become Amalek ourselves. As Amalek sought out the most vulnerable, we are to support the most vulnerable. Hence the central obligation of Purim to care for the poor, as Rabbi Carroll mentioned. We remember the horrors of our enemies in order to not become them ourselves. The trouble is, of course, is that caring for the most vulnerable does not shield us from those who seek our annihilation. I returned yesterday from being in Israel with a delegation of our community, some of whom are here, others still in Israel. On our opening day of this journey, I read these words by Leonard Fine. There are two kinds of Jews in this world. There's the kind of Jew who detests war and violence, who believes that fighting is not the Jewish way, who willingly accepts that Jews have their own and higher standards of behavior. And not just that we have them, but that those standards are our lifeblood, are what we are about. And then there is the kind of Jew who thinks that we have been passive long enough, who is convinced that it is time for us to strike back at our enemies, to reject once and for all the role of victim, who willingly accepts that Jews cannot afford to depend on favors, that we must be tough and strong. And the trouble is, most of us are both kinds of Jews. Shabbat Zachor, and indeed the entire existence of the state of Israel, is a reminder that we must have both kinds of Jews within ourselves and within our communities. In remembering the eternal struggle with Amalek, we notice the call for vengeance, the lust to obliterate all those who seek our annihilation, but we ultimately reject it. We use the broken hearts of our remembrance to bring the opposite energy into this world, to care for the poor and for the vulnerable. But we are also warned. They will come for us again, and no moralizing will be enough to bar the wrath of those who seek only destruction. We are commanded to remember that our hearts must forever be broken with a past and present acknowledgement of pain and grief, and broken with the recognition that requires us to wield power in all its forms, no matter how heavy the burden. We are commanded to aspire to our highest ideals while being prepared for the most excruciating realities of the baseness of humanity. We are commanded to exist as complex people who wear the masks of heroes and villains, but at heart are far more beautiful, messy, and confounding. For our first conversation of the journey, we met with Dan Pfefferman, a scholar and leader in military defense, history, and policy. Dan encouraged us to see the goal of these days in Israel as embracing the perspectives of real people, not talking heads or pundits or people distant across the sea, but real people on the ground, perspectives that might collide between people and even within the same person. One particularly helpful concept he posited was to try and look at our world today through the framework of destroyers and builders. Setting aside emotions and rhetoric, who are the people who hold a positive, constructive vision with a commitment to actually create it? And who are the people who simply want to burn down the imperfect present? Within Israel, within America, within us all, we can see these two potent forces of change. But we should never confuse the clarity of destroyers for the necessity of builders. We later stood at a lookout at Givat Hatatzpatniot and gazing into Gaza, an azure sky and lush green fields, contrasted distant rubble and the sounds of gunfire. And depending on the direction of one's sense, one can find the shadow of memory or the bloom of hope in a single breath, a single sight. As a group, we held on to the words of Moshe Dayan's eulogy of Roy Rothberg in 1956, as he lamented the necessity of the sword, but also rejected the path of the destroyer. We would go to spend hours in Kibbutz Chanita, right at the border with Lebanon, and face both the remnants of destruction and the first signs of life returning to the kibbutz. The pockmarks of rocket blasts and aftermath of tank treads contrasted the quiet and serenity of the community, both in their own way reminders of what was lost. But all around us were the blooms of the rakefet, the first flowers of the cyclamen, native to that area. And those blooms, they whispered the story of what we would encounter with Bat Ami Shmuel, a resident of Chanita who chose to speak with our group. Within a week following October 7th, Kibbutz Chanita was evacuated, and Bat Ami left with her 2 teenage daughters and her 90-year-old father before the northern front erupted. Her daughters and her father kept pleading with her to return, saying it was the only place in which they belonged. So displaced from their own home, with imagery and horror deluging them from every source, still the only place that made sense to them was to go back to those mountains in the Galilee. Bat Ami and her daughters moved back only earlier this week, and her father just returned yesterday. Only a day into moving back into the kibbutz, Bat Ami chose to share a bit of her story with our group. As she said to me, sharing and listening, we get to feel the heart, even if it's broken, the heart that we share. A member of our community asked Bat Ami what she dreams of for herself in Israel 20 years from now. She said, "I dream of being able to live together, with each person able to live as he wishes without needing to control how another wishes to live." She spoke of the diversity of her own home. She, a secular Jew, one daughter leading a traditional religious life, and the other daughter a passionate lefty activist, in her words. "What I have to see every day is that ideas are different than people," she said. "We can disagree about ideas and still feel like family. I wish that for everyone." Driving down Route 232 in the Gaza envelope, recently repaved and with a phalanx of eucalyptus trees, I felt the horrors of October 7th footage overlaying my vision. Bomb shelters that became the sites of butchery, now repainted with beautiful murals and artifacts of memory. As we walked into the place of the Nova Music Festival, we witnessed a grove that was drenched in death nearly 17 months ago. Hundreds of memorials, each marked by the offerings of human hands, demanding the persistence of love and life. And the stillness betrayed the horror. And even as my tears felt like an essential offering of humanity, as red anemone wildflowers bloom beside ceramic recreations of them, we see the earth itself building towards what we can only raise as symbol. Sitting there amidst those memorials with Rami Davidian, one of the precious shining lights of goodness and bravery, we witnessed him sharing his own experiences of October 7th. Rami's face held both weariness and hope amidst the markers of these hundreds of lives slaughtered there. A local farmer transformed into a hero, And over the course of one day, he saved more than 750 lives. We sat with him amidst the very trees that once held mutilated, violated, obliterated bodies. And he returns there every single day to share his experience, to sacralize memory, and to sanctify that space as more than atrocity by reminding us of humanity. Everywhere we went, we encountered complexity. And almost nothing fell into the clean binary categories that typically frame discourse around Israel here in America. Druze and Jews, Christians and Muslims, everyone we met lives with a broken heart now. And I keep wondering if this isn't the essential message of this time and this Shabbat Zachor. The only true way to avoid becoming Amalek ourselves, to prevent ourselves from the intoxicating clarity of destroyers, is to let our hearts break, to grieve every child, to mourn every atrocity, and delve deeply enough to find the darkness that exists beneath it all. For out of that, out of the rubble and ruin, one can feel called to create, to see that wielding that power may be necessary, but it must be for a higher ideal, that we are called to be a builder. I keep thinking about the rakefet, the cyclamen flowers we saw in the north at Kibbutz Chanita. The interesting thing about the rakefet is that it cannot live in the direct light of the sun, nor can it grow in typical soil. The beautiful flower must emerge from shadowed spaces and nested in broken rock and discarded stone. The rakefet actually thrives in rubble and in ruin. And I hold this image of the rakefet that we saw, now blooming from hidden spaces, and listen for the whispers of what might be becoming. From beneath the rock, a very sweet rakefet blooms suddenly, and the shining sun kisses and decorates her with a pink crown. Rakefet, rakefet, the bird sings. Peek at me for a moment. But the glorious rakefet hides within the rock, hidden from every living being. With each person we encountered, another iteration of both complexity and hope. In different homes and holding different forms of grief, again and again we encountered builders, those anchored in memory and grief and yet refusing to be imprisoned by it, those reaching towards tomorrow and yet rejecting naivete. We found that everyone we met, everyone, held something. There was a catch in everyone's throat, but also a prayer. And perhaps that's what it takes to be a builder. And that is really what I hope for each of us this Shabbat, that we may break open the comfort of simplicity, and from the remnants noticed spaces from which something new may grow. That we may see our broken hearts as the first offering of hope, letting memory of atrocity and complexity of humanity turn us away from the path of destroyers. That we may feel the responsibility held by every generation who chose to be builders, and that we will step forward to take our place as such. Our journey to Israel reaffirmed our eternal responsibility to Israel's future, and not only its past. Through both moments of hardship and the incredible resilience of its people. The World Zionist Congress elections that will be taking place beginning this coming Monday on March 10th, all the way through May 4th, offer a powerful way for diaspora Jews to shape policies that not only impact the future of Israel, but Jewish communities worldwide. By voting, and every one of us has a vote to offer, you help ensure that Israel forever aspires to our highest ideals without losing sight of the realities it must face and the weight that it must shoulder. And even more importantly, that we can take one significant step of building towards its founding dreams. These elections help determine the apportioning of $1 billion a year for 5 years into Israel. So we encourage every Rod Hashalom member who is over 18 to vote. And on Monday, you're going to receive an email from us with links and supports to make this as easy as possible. And so take the 5 minutes it takes, or for the $5 that it takes, and lift up your voice. Remember the atrocity. Hold the broken heart. Notice the spaces, the gaps between what is real and present, and for what we dream and reach. And may we collectively take a step as one community, as one people, to show what it is to be a nation of builders at a time when we need them most. Shabbat Shalom. This time we invite the community to please rise as you are able, as we continue with Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kecho amonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat Zachor, this Sabbath of memory, we bring our own personal memories into this space. In lifting up name and remembering and recalling legacy, we let lives that have been lost continue to shine as beacons for us to guide us forward into our futures. If you hear the name of a loved one you're remembering this evening, or if you offer the name of a loved one you're remembering, we invite you to rise as you're able and remain standing in honor of that lasting connection. And for those who wish, we invite you to come to the front to take stone and place it onto slate as a tangible sign of that lasting connection. We begin with the recent losses in our community. Phyllis Sherman, Roberta Perlman, Walter Robinson, Susan Yeager Gerson, Rabbi Micah Ellenson, Rolly Kilbreeze, Leonard Shore, Mike Rosenberg, Carrie Landau, Roger Granite, Uni Edelman, Rebecca Cattell, and Richard Botwinick. If there are others in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, we invite you to rise and offer the names. Those in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. Margaret? Those within Shana, within the first year of mourning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Marge. Thank you. Thank you. We remember the Yortzites, the anniversaries of death. Morton Abram, Owen Alper, Isidore Becker, Stanley Benson, Ziona Ben Sion, Catherine Berenstein, Chaya Berkowitz, Jean Bernstein, Kenneth Bernstein, Selma Barrell, Harvey Burdoff, Simon Blattman, Maurice Blumenthal Sr., George Botwinick, Marianne Boyer, Samuel Brightman, Malcolm Chaffetz, Selim Chada, Jeffrey Chin, Izzy Sikvetsvili, Dr. June Cummings Lewis, Jules Dahlman, Henry Derone, Roman Echevarria, Martin Eglo, Irving Fass, Stanley Feinstein, Molly Fleischer, Harry Fleischer, Ruth Fox, Irving Friedman, Florence Fried, Irving Friedman, Jennifer Friedman, Ruth Friedman, Rose Gelber, Mark Gerstenfeld, Hirsch Glazer, Hannah Gluckman, Ruth Goldberg, Samuel Goldberg, Jack Goldstein, Fred Gordy, Paula Gorditzer, Shirley Gazul, Jerry Gray, Hyman Grill, Eva Halperin, Ida Halpern, Margot Harwood, Lowell Harwood, Mira Hashmal, Alan Hellman, Sarah Herbert, Samuel Hockman, Helen Isaac, Ralph Jacobs, Evelyn Kallman, Michael Kaplan, Matthew Kasner, Harriet Katz, Meyer Katz, Braden Kyle, Lee Kestenbaum, Manuel Kirstein, Lynn Koch, Lizzie Koch, Hilda Cook, Ruth Kreloff, Barry Leyhold, Jerry Leon, Janet Leshny, Zafira Levitt, Marvin Levy, Bernice Lewis, Sigmund Levy, Rita Lichtenstein, Bertha Liebeskin, Irving Lipton, Albert Lowenstein, Myron Lown, Rita Margulis, Esther McKee, Irving Meller, Mary Mercadetti, Maurice Michelow, Theodore Miller, Ida Miller, Salo Minkin, S.E. Mitchell, our former senior rabbi, Louis Newman, Peter Pale, Marion Pincus, Erwin Plasner, Shirley Platt, Morris Posner, Jerry Prosnitz, Lucille Pulvermacher, the Honorable Gilbert Rabin, Dora Rabinovich, Donald Rand, Dr. Nancy Rash, Herbert Rhine, Solomon Resnick, Irving Richter, Constance Rosen, Herman Rosenthal, Isidore Rothman, Philip Rudd, Irving Sauerhoff, Ruth Schnurmacher, Stanley Schoniger, Israel Schulman, Carol Schultz, Sumner Shapiro, Dr. Monroe Scheinberg, Martin Siegel, Hattie Siegler, Lisa Silverberg, Harry Statsky, Carol Staub, Jeanette Steinhardt, Rita Stern, Samuel Strumwasser, Pauline Sulds, Charles Talley, Andrew Unterberg, William Vermont, Shirley Warren, Abraham Warshaw, Claire Weiner, Sadie Weinsoff, Herbert Weiss, Rose Wilson, Dr. Marvin Witkin, Eileen Zaglin, Svetlana Zaraevskaya, Louis Zaretsky, and Gary Zaslav. If there are others that you are remembering, we invite you to rise as you're able and offer the names. Yes. Thank you. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. As is our custom at Roda Shalom, we invite you to rise as you're able as one community. For the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, together on page 294, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'cho beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach leolam lamei amaya, Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shmed kudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim, halenu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Halenu v'al Kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Oh, say shalom b'mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn here and comfort to all who are bereaved everywhere, as we say together, Amen. We may be seated for a few moments. Just a few brief announcements. As I mentioned, Monday begins the World Zionist Congress elections. You'll be getting an email with links to a whole bunch of photos from our journey and additional reflections to hear more about the experiences that we had. Additionally, you'll get to learn more information and links to the actual voting itself. We'll also be hosting a Zoom. So for anyone who's having trouble navigating the links, you can come onto the Zoom and we can vote together and get to experience the chance to bring forward our vote to shape the future of policy and support in Israel. We also want to make sure you know that, again, next week is Purim. So beginning on the 13th at 4:30 p.m., we are going to be having Purim 2025 Night at the Museum. This is going to be a magical evening where costumes, laughter, the story of Esther takes center stage among the exhibits. You're also not going to want to miss our Purim spiel, which is Shushan Rhapsody for the Queen fans that are here. It should be rather
It's going to be great.
glorious. There's even going to be some tap dancing in it. Some of them are in the midst here. So we want you to come in costume and experience our Purim spiel. Make sure if you can, most of us are needing a little bit of lightheartedness. Maybe even we feel the need to be crammed into a room with far too many people running around doing games. This is for you. It is going to fill the heart. It is going to remind you that there's life, vitality, and what to laugh at in our world. And we want to make sure to invite you to Purim After Dark. Our CRS Torah Slam tradition is going to be continuing Saturday, March 15th at 7 p.m. This is an extraordinary evening as we experience and celebrate Purim in a lasting way. And we're going to be bringing forward the powerful narratives of 4 members of our community: Lola Maltz, Theo Sachs, Dr. William Schwartz, and our very own Cantor Yacono.
There's also a Megillah reading in the morning on Friday. Is it there? No?
That's not. Keep
Oh,
going.
great. So we come for the night at the museum, and the next morning, if you want to come hear our 8th graders from the day school and various members of our community chant Megillah, it is at 9:30 on the 6th floor.
Excellent. And just to confuse everyone, I'm going to throw something that's actually happening tomorrow. So now, good luck remembering timing on anything. Tomorrow we have a feminist lens film screening with activist and photographer Joan Roth. It's going to be tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. We'll be celebrating International Women's Day with trailblazer Joan Roth and her daughter Melanie Roth Gorlick. So Joan Roth has dedicated her life to raising awareness of women's plight and activism, which is the central focus of this film. Roth, herself a feminist icon, chose to prioritize making women visible. And this film lifts up the experience of the women's movement, advocates, and it advocates and it elevates the diverse Jewish women worldwide that have been a part of it. So please join us for that. And on Tuesday, March 25th, continuing at that theme, strengthened by our matriarchs past and present, a CRS Women's Passover Seder. Tuesday, March 25th at 6:30 p.m., we're going to be able to begin the Passover season with creativity and community. We're going to be honoring the strength and resilience of our foremothers and celebrate the voices of contemporary Jewish women and female allies who inspire us today. Please make sure to register so there's a seat for you. At this time, we want to take some of the Shabbat Zachor ethos and remind ourselves that as we remember the moments of heartbreak, we are commanded in the wrappings around those verses to create a community of connection and strength. So we need to continue to build those. I want to invite everyone. I know some of you get tired of me asking to do this every week, but community doesn't just happen. We have to make it. So I want to invite everyone, turn and find a face you do not recognize. Move as far as you need to go and greet that person. Please do this as an offering to the community and spark a conversation. And while we are doing that, I want to invite Olivia and her family and Lucas and his family to join us on the bima, please.
And the children's choir, come to the steps, please.
Begins my friend. Ready for this? Okay, so we're doing the long one tonight. And we're going to invite the community to please rise as you're able for Kiddush on page 5.
Shabbat kodsho, b'yavalu bratzo, ביום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Oh, say shalom bimrolah.
Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei Tevel ve'inu. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromah. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei Tevel ve'inu.
Thank you, Children's Choir. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.